14 years ago, I wanted to be a YouTuber. And I mean, I kind of still do, but 14 years ago, I really did. When I was 12, I got really inspired by skits and just kind of stuff I saw back in that era of YouTube, and I never did it. And since then, I was like, God, it would have been cool to be a YouTuber. I mean, I'm 26, so here I am making a video. And I think I do this with a lot of things. So in 2020, I got really into music production. I got into the idea of music production. So I bought FL Studio, and I was listening to a lot of music. I was inspired by a lot, but I wasn't actually doing anything, right? I think I've used it maybe 6 times, like over the last 6 years, honestly. And I think there's a lot of people who are the same way with stuff. Like, maybe it's the idea of, learning a language, but you only use Duolingo once a week, or picking up a guitar and, being really intensive about it for a week, and then just never picking it up for another 6 months and just seeing it in the corner of your room going like, I really need to learn guitar. And I think a lot of the issue comes down to the fact that there's so many things that people are interested, that like yourself is interested in, right? So I have the same issue where there'll be like a dozen things on my mind, and you really just need to focus on 1 or 2. I think what you'll find is it's time to stop thinking about doing stuff, and it's time to actually start doing stuff. I mean, I've spent more time thinking about things and imagining the life where I was a great guitarist, because the idea of practicing seems like some sort of punishment. It seems frustrating, and it shouldn't. It should just be fun. Like, when I was young, I was a bad artist. So I've never done art. I've never sketched or anything because I've been preconceived to being a bad artist. But good artists are only good because they've spent time being good artists. And when I was 6, if I'd spent time, and whenever, but if I was 6 and I'd spent time the next few years being a good artist, I would have hit an age where I was like, I'm actually not bad at drawing, and I would have spent more time on it. To be a great artist would be great, but wouldn't it just be enough to be an artist? Wouldn't it just be enough to be a musician, to be a parent, to be a traveler? You don't have to go to every country. You don't have to be the best. You can just do it and put your energy into it and be proud of what you give back to the world and give to yourself as well. It reminds me of the very famous, and I think what sums it up best is the famous poem, The Fig Tree. I think it's called The Fig Tree by Sylvia Plath. I'm going to butcher it a lot, but the premise of it, and I imagine most of you have heard this, but the premise of it is that she's standing under a tree, and each of the figs represent like different ways in which her life can go. So it's like, does she want to be a mother? Does she want to be a traveler? She could be a poet. She could do any of this, right? And she's standing under a tree looking at all these options, having the thirst for doing everything, right? So undecided that these figs just start falling off the tree. They start like getting like black and wrinkly, and they all just drop at her feet. And before she knows it, those options were all gone. And I think truly it doesn't matter whether you're 20 or 50 or 80, as long as you do have tomorrow, it's never over.